Once, there came a time on Mount Olympus when the great god Zeus began to feel that humans no longer desired the help of the gods. Technological advancements meant that mortals required less divine intervention. Magic was being replaced by machinery. He therefore decreed that Olympians should spend more time amongst the mortals and learn how they could continue to be of service to humanity. Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos, otherwise known as the Fates, already knew a lot about life. Clotho's job was spinning the thread of life, pulling the cold empty from the void, imbuing it with divine energy, and spinning it into a sort of cosmic filament, while her sisters, Lachesis and Atropos, measured and cut those threads. Hephaestus, the blacksmith of the gods, was already established in the mortal realm, preparing for the arrival of the other Olympians. The smithy's task was to create the tools for the gods to do their work on Earth in a new way, using technology that could be imbued with the magics of Olympus. Shall I continue?
My dear Lady Disdain, I would be most disappointed if you didn't.
Hi everyone, welcome back to My Lady Disdain. I'm Sandy.
And I'm John.
We actually just completed a collaboration with Kat and Ben from MagicalGirlKitCat Gaming and Anna and Cory from Kit and Cat Shop.
And boy, are our arms tired. Wait, that's the wrong joke, sorry.
So it was really fun to work with two other smart doll couples who are also YouTubers. It was a really fun and interesting experience to get all six of us together and do this collaboration. A few months ago, Kat reached out to me and said, hey, I'm going to do this Greek mythology collab with Kit and Cat Shop. And we talked about adding a third person, and I said, we really want Sandy and John. She said Greek mythology. I was all over it.
Kat, you had her at grit.
Didn't even have to go any further than that. So, I literally grew up with Greek mythology as like a basis of my reading. So I said, okay, I'm in. And so Kat then said to me, what time period should we do? And I was like, how about steampunk Victorian? We're talking about late 19th into the early 20th century. So there was a lot of opportunity there for the things that I like.
Well, what things do you like, Sandy?
Corsets, gowns, lace, ruffles, bows, all of those things.
Yes.
Those are my
all
things.
All of those things.
All of this. This is all my thing. We had a meeting and we decided that we were all going to take on different gods, different Olympians.
And the Cat Court sort of came up with a story to begin with, right?
She kind of wrote her story and kind of set the path for us, and the rest of us just kind of picked up what we wanted to do. We're talking about the Olympians having to go down to Earth and work with the mortals sort of hand in hand. I was very excited to choose my character. I chose the three Fates.
I said simplify. She said 3.
3 was enough.
3 barely happened.
What I liked about the Fates was the fact that they are really all aspects of woman at different points in life.
It definitely gave you 3 drastically different personas to create.
Yeah.
In the end, you've got gods having to live among mortals. How did the Fates adjust to having to live on Earth?
When it came time for the Fates to create their new life in the world of men, there was no question in the mind of Lachesis what was to be done. She prided herself on her creativity and had already spent a large amount of eternity weaving and sewing. What better job for the spinners of life than a dressmaker's shop? She went to Hephaestus and arranged for each sister to have the tools that they needed.
Okay, so the Fates are dressmakers. I love it. Such a cool idea. And how did that come about for you? Like, why were the Fates and dressmaking so important to you for this project?
Well, I mean, I love sewing, and I've always been fascinated with historical costuming. It's a skill that I've been working on. I wanted that to be part of my Lady Disdain to begin with, so it just kind of all seemed to work. Like, it all seemed to flow. It made sense. I mean, I actually considered doing Artemis or Athena or somebody like that, but then I was like, well, wait a minute, why don't I do the Fates? They're spinners and weavers.
It's really kind of on brand for you, basically.
Yeah, it really is. It's very much on brand. The three aspects of womanhood, the fact that they spin and weave, it just all kind of works.
Yeah.
So when we set about to do this, we had to create this world.
To kind of take what Kat had given us and what you came up with about the Fates, I really wanted to do that justice and to try something new with storytelling. And that meant figuring out ways to bring this dressmaking shop to life in a way that we can actually execute reasonably well, reasonably cheaply, and timely. And so I focused on doing things that implied the dressmaker shop. I found old looking backdrops. One of them specifically has a wood floor on like the bottom half of it, so that helped. But adding on top of that little key things to anchor it, like the oriental rug that we found, the hutch.
That was fun. Never underestimate the power of Joann's and Michael's.
We built it in one day using like
unfinished desk accessories.
That's it.
Things to put your scissors and pens and pencils and stuff in. And when you stacked them, they ended up coming out looking like a hutch for a dressmaker shop.
Yeah, and I did have to build a chunk onto it because it wasn't tall enough. I really wanted to have some scale and have something I could put the dolls next to. I needed to add essentially a third middle piece to add some more cubbies to it. Figured out roughly the dimensions of what we needed to build, grabbed some more wood, and used a lot of glue and the nail gun and added some stain, and suddenly we had this piece that looked totally at home in this world. So I know from experience that living with three sisters can be rough. The Fates, like, how did they deal with the change?
Well, we already talked a little bit about Lachesis, so why don't we take a look at Clotho?
Right.
The youngest sister, Clotho, eternally full of enthusiasm and wide-eyed innocence, had an affection for the life she created and was excited to spend more time with humans. She loved children, playing games, and knew the value of being silly. Hephaestus made Clotho the Destin-E 5000. Cunningly hidden in a supply trunk, the Destin-E 5000 would provide Clotho with a means to produce thread. The supply of void stuffs would be loaded in the hopper and mixed with Clotho's divine energy. The machine would spin the thread at the turn of a key, freeing up Clotho's hands to stock shelves and assist customers as shop girl.
Okay, she is so freaking cute. Like, tell me about designing and building Clotho.
Okay, well, to start with, I chose Shiki Ichinose to be Clotho. She has that beautiful wide-eyed expression, and I put this blonde wig on Shiki, and it was just perfect. Like, my original concept had her with a big bow on top of her head. So with Clotho, I was inspired by images of shop girls from the Victorian era and the Edwardian era.
Okay.
This pattern was actually adapted from a pattern by, I believe it's Requiem Arts. I used their blouse pattern, I adapted that, adapted the sleeve. I gave her longer bloomers because she's the youngest sister, and this skirt actually has drawstrings so that it can draw up and down to expose the bloomers. But once I got the basic costume built, what I realized all I really needed to do was add some of those slightly harder steampunk metal elements, some different textures. When you go to the craft store, if you're looking for little details and everything, check every department. You never know what you can find. And if it's for a cosplay, you can always spray paint something. why don't we talk a little bit about her device from Hephaestus?
Sure, the Destin-E 5000.
Yes.
We knew going into this that there was going to have to be some element that is involved in the creation of the thread of life. Initially, I had prototyped a Lego Technic-based gear backpack that kind of had this, like, a thread tensioner and a sewing machine.
Mm-hmm.
But we found the trunk and thought the trunk would be a great place to kind of put this in there, and this idea of, like, these crystals turning and devolving into this essence in that hopper. The trunk we actually had on this bookshelf, and all the stuff in there was basically just woods, a yogurt jar, some old little LED
floral lights on a string.
EL wire, you know, the wire that lights up to create the idea of this thread of life, something that was, like, supernatural looking.
Something that looked energized.
Yeah. So after Clotho uses the Destin-E 5000 to create the thread of life,
right,
what happens next?
Lachesis would then measure and weave that thread into the finest cloth for the ladies' dresses. Hephaestus created the WonderWeaver, an innovation that would weave mundane materials and the divine thread together at the push of a button. The resulting thread would become magically imbued garments that would subtly nudge the wearers in the appropriate direction. Lachesis could go wild with her ideas and build beautiful and exciting lives for her clients. If fiber arts were a military force, Lachesis would be a hotshot fighter pilot. She feared nothing and would try anything.
Okay, this one is, I'm just going to say, loud.
This is a reflection. When I designed this costume, I was sort of inspired by the Moulin Rouge and carnivals, so like circus riders and things like that. I wanted to show that she's not afraid of anything. The way I did that was with color and pattern, and the fact that she wears shorter skirts and her patterns are all mixed, and the goggles are actually kind of like, okay, this could get messy. I gotta have my goggles. So she's kind of all decked out in a lot of different fabrics. She's got bloomers on that are a little bit more loud than her younger sister's outfits. And then, of course, I thought I was done. And she told me, I'm not done. Where's my sassy butt bow? Well, okay, I wasn't gonna give you a bustle or anything, but you want a sassy butt bow. I gave her 3. But she's also practical. She's got her gloves so that when she's manipulating that thread, her hands are protected. And she's got a belt on, and she's carrying around some thread samples. So she has a job to do, but she does it with style.
How did you build this? Where did this stuff, like, is this from scratch?
For the most part, yes. Except for one very vital piece of the costume. I reached out to Anna from Kit and Cat Shop and said, do you have a pattern for like a fitted bodice or a vest? You know, I could have built it myself, but it would have been too much time. And frankly, Anna is really good at it and she's fast.
And she'd much rather spend her time putting butt bows on it.
I got this vest pattern from her and I started building it, and then I started manipulating it, and I decided I wanted to wear it out, and then I made her bodice to go underneath it.
I gotta say, Anna and Cory, their patterns, like, I don't know how many of you know this, but their patterns are the basis for a lot of the Etsy shop stuff that's out there. They're really nice patterns. Try them out if you're starting to get into sewing and creating these things for yourself, because as you can see, all of these things become sort of this basis for improvisation as you get a little bit more experienced with making them as directed. Then you start mixing and matching things and chaos ensues.
Yep. This started out as a vest pattern and became my horseback rider from a carnival Moulin Rouge girl. Okay, so now we know what she does. We have seen her costume. Hephaestus had to build her the WonderWeaver.
Ah, the WonderWeaver.
I threw that one at you.
Yeah, you threw that one at me like 3 days ago. Sort of a realization in the story that, oh, this exists. I sort of took what I had been trying to do with the idea of the backpack Lego contraption, and I said, all right, we're going to keep it simple, put together something that I know I can build quickly and embellish easily. I just took basswood, made a quick little like arcade style cabinet, drilled like 3/8 inch holes into the side of them that were the perfect size for Lego pegs to fit into. I didn't have to make the interlocking mechanisms. I implied it by putting in little pegs into different places and having some Technic pieces come off of it. Sandy insisted on a screen of some sort, so I designed up a little screen and on Photoshop and printed it out on like a sticker printer. It was just fun, just throwing it together, adding on embellishments, painting it up. I wish I'd made it bigger, but I just had to stop at some point and do something that I thought I could do. Scale is a very hard thing in Smart Doll at 1/3 scale, so.
But I think you came up with a neat piece with sort of a retro vibe, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, I really like the sort of Miss Pac-Man thing it's got going on. Okay, so we've seen Clotho, she became a shopkeeper, Lachesis, an amazing dressmaker. Other than Lachesis' outfit, I am a little disappointed. Where's the drama?
Atropos, known as the Inflexible, wanted to defy the decree of Zeus. In their own domain, she did not have to see the world, and therefore could remain impartial when cutting threads. She was so determined not to know the needs of man that she foolishly plucked out her right eye and fed her cutting hand to a harpy. Hephaestus felt sorry for Atropos and crafted her a new eyeball, the Acuity Initiator, or AI. The eye was intelligent and would speak to Atropos, explaining mortal things in matter-of-fact ways that Atropos was able to digest while allowing her to remain detached. While Atropos was grateful to see once again, AI could not channel her magical abilities. Hephaestus made Atropos a special lorgnette, which would augment her vision so she could continue to perform her true duties. Finally, at her client's request, Hephaestus welded Atropos' scissors to her body so that she would never forget her true calling. So it just wouldn't be Greeks without a little bit of tragedy, right?
And eye gouging, of course.
And harpies. He made me stop.
Yeah.
I did want to build a harpy.
She did.
This is the costume that actually really got me excited. I really wanted her to be all in black, and I wanted to give her this sort of crow-raven kind of appearance. We had to give her some sort of an appearance of finality, so what better way to go for the older sister than, you know, a sort of a widow look. Widow in mourning. This is actually classic Dauntless. Strong, firm, knows what she wants. Perfect for Atropos the Inflexible. The blouse pattern is actually also, it's the same pattern that I used for Clotho. Just manipulated it differently, changed the collar, made the sleeve a little bit poofier. The skirt was 100% my own build. I just made a long skirt and added a bunch of pickups. I wanted it to stay in a solid position so that I could add lots of texture underneath. I wanted her to be shredded. It's actually one of my favorite techniques to use. I love shredding things. But what really struck me about this was I just loved this very exaggerated bustle silhouette.
I feel like the only thing that I could take any amount of credit for on the dolls themselves is that eye.
It's a large white bead with lots of metal, like copper metal filigree on it. Yep. And what you're actually seeing as her pupil is the hole where the string goes through. Initially, I had planned on using just a couple of pearl beads and making her white eyes blind.
Right.
And it just didn't really work. And when John put that in her eye, it was like, yep, that's the eye.
Done. Can we stop dancing around the real thing here? So when Sandy showed me the final form of Atropos, I couldn't look at any of this. All I could focus on was the eye she carried around on her belt.
That is actually her eye, and it was sitting on the table. And I said, well, that's creepy. So she's got her mechanical eye. She carries her own eye on her belt pouch. And then I have her carrying an hourglass on her belt, just as basically a symbol of her office.
Tell me about the Lorgnette.
I was inspired by the machines that they bring in front of you at the eye doctor. And what it happened to be made out of was one of those little lenses that they use to put in front of your glasses when they're trying to adjust your prescription. They had some replicas of them in the scrapbooking accessories at Joann's. And then, of course, her scissor hands, which this is actually a necklace cap. When you make the necklaces out of big cord and you have to put a cap on the end with a hook on it, and glued on a scissors charm from the jewelry department. I'm just really proud of this costume.
Yeah.
So that's all the girls.
Well, okay, so how does it all end?
And so, three sisters, garments for all walks of life, became established. They celebrated births, danced at weddings, and mourned when a thread reached its termination point. In the hands of Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos, the tapestry of humanity continued to evolve, and Olympus thrived.
Okay, I'm just so happy with how all of this turned out. A, love the story. B, love the girls. It's been stressful, but I have had so much fun working on this.
It was really fun. It kind of reminds me of our theater days.
Make it work!
Yep, it's gotta happen. We gotta get it done. And I think we've been bitten by the bug on this.
Which bug is that?
I want to do some more storytelling and some more cosplaying with the dolls. And if you like that, let us know in the comments. If you haven't subscribed, you might want to subscribe.
Definitely.
And click the bell for notifications so you know what we're up to. But before we go, this was not the only story told in this world.
It was a collaboration.
Hi, it's MagicalGirlKitCat. To learn more about Hades and her story, please click here to find out more. I'm excited to see you soon. Choose your adventure wisely.
Hi, it's Anna. For more Greek god steampunk cosplay, come over to our channel.
So real quick, Sandy, favorite part of this entire process? Go.
Working with you.
Damn it.
Did I steal yours?
No, but it just like anything I say now is going to be trite. You can follow my Instagram at SmartDollFolio.
You can follow me at MyLadyDisdain with underscores. I'm Sandy.
I'm John.
And this is this is three members of the Court of Disdain. We will see you again soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.